You probably know one or both of Logan Paul and KSI. The two have cultivated an enormous audience and with it an incredible amount of influence. KSI with 24 million subscribers and Logan Paul just shortly behind him with almost 24 million subscribers. The two definitely have plenty of influence, and recently, it was like last year, buddy, not recently, kind of late to this, they've decided to stop punching each other in the face and start punching their fans in the face with Prime, a funny little drink. Today, we're going to be breaking down the formula behind what is actually in Prime Energy and Prime Hydration, and we're going to be looking at whether or not the critics are correct in saying that it is a sham. I've looked into the situation, I've done a bunch of research, and oh boy, you won't believe just how bad this gets. Let's break it down. But before any of that, I would just like to say thank you for watching. So, Prime can't be that bad, right? Well, not exactly. See, there's two types of Prime, and depending on which one you're talking about, things go from bad to worse. They each come with their own special blend of ingredients, and I'll get into whether or not I recommend buying one in just a moment. You know, we're gonna get to that. But first, I just want to talk about Prime Energy, specifically as it's the one that's been coming under a lot of heat and scrutiny lately by the media.
Chuck Schumer is asking the FDA to investigate that wildly popular Prime Energy drink and whether it's being marketed to children. Each of those drinks can contain as much caffeine as 6 Cokes or 2 Red Bulls. The brand does also make a zero caffeine drink. It's called Prime Hydration. But Senator Schumer claims that packaging and advertising for the two drinks are almost identical.
The thing is, Prime Energy drinks are actually kind of great, you know, except at the same time they're terrible because fundamentally energy drinks just are not good for you. But when you talk about energy drinks, this one isn't actually that bad. Let me explain by first breaking down the nutritional facts. On the surface, you know, it doesn't look that bad. You know, we got 10 calories, 0 grams of fat, 2 grams of sugar, 55 milligrams of sodium, 0 grams of protein, and 200 milligrams of caffeine. I'm going to break down that caffeine part right now because a lot of people are going to the caffeine in the drink as the problem with the drink. Caffeine can cause a lot of unwanted side effects. Some of them I'm going to have on the monitors over here. Going to have some overlay for you guys so you guys can read some of that. But going to kind of summarize it, you know, it's going to increase your heart rate, increase your temperature, things like shaking, anxiety, sweating, tons of effects. And the thing about these effects of caffeine is they're kind of size dependent, as in the bigger somebody is, the less effective caffeine is on them. It's similar in terms of like just having a natural tolerance to it. And that makes sense, right? Because if you have some huge Nordic looking dude, you know, maybe someone built like The Rock, they're massive. They have a lot of muscle, they have a lot of body weight, and for that substance or any substance to really hit their bloodstream and go through their entire body, well, they just have more body. So it's going to take more milligrams per substance for them to feel the same effects. By that point, children really shouldn't be having these substances, even the bigger children. And then when we start getting to dosages like 200 milligrams, I mean, come on, the effects are going to be prominent, even for big boys like me. But let's be real. For one, you don't gotta drink a whole can of Prime in one sitting. And given the fact that it is so incredibly sweet, like I'm saying like incredibly sweet, for a 10-calorie drink, this thing tastes like pure sugar. You could just, you know, split it up, water it down, whatever else. You don't have to drink the whole thing in one sitting. So for adults and conscious buyers, that's actually kind of a good thing, right? We can just have one drink, lasts us 2 sittings, and it's the cost of like 1 Red Bull. Top of that, is 200 milligrams of caffeine really a lot? 1 cup of coffee is about 80. Now, depending on what kind of coffee, whatever else, things can change, but let's just say 1 cup of coffee is about 80 milligrams of caffeine. I drink at least like 2 cups of coffee plus some other stuff every day, right? And don't even get me started about when I was going to school and in final season. I was drinking it like every hour I had a cup. I needed it. Like I was getting very little sleep, and sometimes you just need that push. The drink does taste kind of good. You know, it is very sweet. I do recommend watering it down. I would never drink it as is. And it's low in calories, has no added sugars, which I think is great when you look at it from a standpoint of trying to lose weight and thinking, well, I can have this drink and I don't have to worry about burning off the calories. It's not exactly great in terms of somebody who's actually going to need the drink in the sense of, let's say, an athlete who's burning a ton of calories and wants that energy drink, I wouldn't recommend, just because a lot of athletes are burning way more calories, or at least, for the average person who is an athlete. So I think that having something like a Gatorade with calories and electrolytes, it's going to make you feel better faster. It also doesn't have a ton of sodium. And when scrutinized and faced with all this pushback from the media about, oh, this drink has way too much caffeine, Logan went on air and actually defended the drink in a manner that I think is actually pretty well spoken. And I'm going to play parts of the clip for you now so you can get some additional context rather than me just telling you about it.
Yeah, man. If Chuck Schumer really cared, he'd control caffeine content levels at the point of purchase, just like we do with alcohol. 200 milligrams of caffeine, same amount of caffeine as in our competitor Celsius and Gatorade's Fast Twitch. One is in a can, one is in a bottle. One says energy, one says hydration. This one is 18 plus, and it's marketed that way on all social media posts. This one is suitable for all ages. My audience on Instagram, only 10% are under the age of 18. The Drink Prime page, only 7.7% are under the age of 18.
Genuinely, the dude was incredibly well spoken, and I think he approached the argument from a great standpoint in terms of defending the caffeine, which is what the media is attacking. All this evidence about how 200 milligrams of caffeine actually really isn't that much, which I kind of agree with, and relating that drink and comparing it to other drinks and the competitors on the market, right? But he did throw in a few tricks into that defense, which I'm going to break down right now. And the reason I'm going to break them down is I think they're a bit deceiving. First of all, he's showing his Instagram statistics, and I don't think that's a fair metric to show when talking about this drink, especially not the Instagram followers for Prime Energy, because I'm going to be real with you guys, I've drank Celsius and Red Bull and a bunch of other things, and I don't follow them on Instagram. In fact, I don't think a lot of people use Instagram like that. Not to mention, both of these individuals made their careers on YouTube and catered to a younger audience. This is known. I don't even have to defend myself here. I wouldn't be surprised if your YouTube audience was a bit younger than your Instagram audience. It's how you made your claim to fame. It's how you grew yourself, is you catered to children. We all know that you catered to children. Not so much recently, but that is genuinely how you got your start. Same thing with KSI. And I'd like to argue and like to say that it can be kind of assumed that a lot of children on YouTube who are making accounts are saying they're older than they actually are, because yes, we lie on the internet. When I was 12, I said I was 28 and born January 1st, 1980 something, I'm pretty sure. Either way, I think there is reason to believe there's a younger audience on YouTube than Instagram, but I digress. Now, beside that, if I was going to talk anecdotally, which, doing so I know isn't great evidence, but I'd also like for people in the comments who are watching this to let me know down in the comments if I'm wrong coming from this point of view. The only people I know who have drank Prime that I've seen are children and young teenagers. I've never seen an adult man or woman, or anyone for that matter, I've never seen an adult with a Prime drink in their hand. But regardless of that, I digress. I don't think Prime Energy is really that bad. I think, though, that if you are a parent of a young child, just make sure you are aware of what they're doing and what they're buying and what they're drinking and eating. That being said, children really shouldn't be drinking energy drinks, period. But it's not on the corporation to parent other people's children. And these comments seem to agree. It's not the responsibility of the energy drink companies who buys their energy drinks. It's the responsibilities of the parents to make sure their children don't be consuming energy drinks loaded with sugar. Same thing goes with children eating chips loaded with sodium. If y'all seriously think they should take this down, I can't help you. It's not Logan and KSI's fault at all. It's the parents who are letting their kids drink the energy drinks when there is a clear warning label on them. With Schumer saying they look identical, one's a can and one's a bottle. Even if they have the same colors, that's because the colors of the flavor. Okay, but is no one talking about the fact that it's an energy drink? One Red Bull is 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is nothing. 200 milligrams of caffeine is the same as any other actual performance energy drink. Look at Celsius, Bang, Ghost, even Gatorade Fast Twitch. They're all 200. That's the gold standard for people who use these drinks for working out, etc. This is nothing new. Clickbait for the sake of clickbait at its finest. Boomers doing what boomers do best, drawing unnecessary attention for the sake of a story. Sad. When we talk about the demographic breakdown, we do know that the drink doesn't cater to children. It really tries not to. It even says on the can that if you're under 18, do not consume. Although again, nobody reads the terms and conditions of anything they do, so I doubt people are even reading that. The warning is also on the company website, although you'd have to go pretty deep into the FAQ to find it. A spokesperson even said, "It's an energy drink and not made for anyone under the age of 18. As we've touched on before, this is not made for children, and I think we're all on the same page about that. As it stands, it's mostly children and teens who are attracted to this type of marketing in this drink." And that's what the concerned parents are talking about. But it's not like we haven't seen this before. I mean, look at Monster and Red Bull and the stuff that they did years past. Until we have a case where a kid has a heart attack because of drinking one of these drinks, then I think we're okay. Until that happens, I don't think we should be giving KSI and Logan Paul such a problem. Oh, wait. That did happen, although I don't think it's entirely on the blame of the energy drink. Let me explain. See, this is definitely a situation of several things having gone wrong at once, and I think the article paints a misleading picture. The article says, he came back with a bottle of Prime Hydration, made by the same brand that produces Prime Energy. The drink promoted by the influencer turned wrestler Logan Paul and YouTuber KSI. Chuck Schumer is now demanding that the FDA investigate. Which, sure, basically a 10-year-old goes to get Prime Hydration after his mom gives him a few dollars. But then the article says, the energy drink has a whopping 200 milligrams of caffeine per 12-ounce can. An 8.4 can of Red Bull has 80 milligrams. Schumer then said, buyers and parents beware because it's a serious health concern. Hang on. Okay. Did we just say hydration and then talk about the caffeine content? Because hydration is the one without caffeine. So which one did the kid get? Now there's definitely some continuity errors with the story. And I can definitely see an argument for both sides of, was it the hydration drink or the energy drink that the kid purchased and consumed? Either way, it was bad. Either way, the kid shouldn't have had either drink. That's right. I'm saying the kid shouldn't have even had the hydration drink that doesn't have caffeine, because the hydration drink is even worse than the energy drink. But we're going to get to that in just a second. The reason I think that the kid had the hydration drink, not the energy drink, is it says he came back with a bottle, not a can. And the main difference between the hydration and Prime Energy is one is a bottle, one is a can. So we can kind of say for sure, at least based on the evidence that I've seen, that it is the hydration drink the kid got. So then the kid ended up having a heart attack with the hydration drink? Well, that doesn't make sense. It has no caffeine. But it does make sense. See, we're going to break down the hydration drink in just a second. The article even says that the kid didn't get the energy drink. The mom even says she wouldn't have let the kid get the energy drink and that she wanted him to get the hydration one because, that's the hydration one. She even said, he got the hydration one, but I'm not happy there's a version with 200 milligrams of caffeine aimed at children. Once again, this is misleading because, as we talked about, it's not really aiming at children. It's just an unfortunate circumstance of what happens when you have massive creators backing a product. Yes, the drink has a younger appeal than something like, let's say, coffee. I don't see any 10-year-olds running around wanting coffee. And I'm not talking Starbucks. I'm talking like regular black coffee with nothing in it. Because Starbucks is also a problem and deserves its own video. But for now, let's continue talking about Prime. Like I said, we're going to break down hydration. And we're going to do that right now. The nutritional breakdown of it goes as follows. 6 grams of carbohydrates, 0 grams of protein, and, just a normal 700... Wait, 700? What? That's right. These drinks meant for hydration contain 700 milligrams of potassium. That's a lot. That's like a lot. For those unaware, if you were to go to the hospital and they saw that you were very low in potassium and that was the thing causing the issue in your body, they would give you a thing called a K-dur, which actually has less potassium than what's in this drink.
When you drink Prime, it's in liquid form and it gets into the bloodstream quicker than last time, within several minutes. One bottle of Prime increases your potassium levels in the blood by approximately 1.8 times as much as one K-dur. And so when you're drinking Prime energy drink, it's going to have the same effect as consuming approximately 1.8 K-dur. That is a very aggressive form of potassium replacement in the blood.
And you might be thinking, oh, well, too much potassium, that can't be that bad, right? But wrong. There is an upper limit, and too much potassium, and too much of anything really, can kill you. This 700 milligrams of potassium is about a little over 20% of the maximum limit that an adult male should consume. It also has a bunch of magnesium, more than 35% of what the adult male upper limit is. And I say upper limit as have more than this amount, and it's a huge problem. Now, this is a severe issue because when you have children drinking the hydration drinks, that's a lot of potassium and magnesium for their tiny little baby bodies. And let me explain another thing to you real quick, right? Because some of you guys might be thinking, well, bananas have a lot of potassium. They have like 400 and something. Why isn't that a problem? When you drink something, your body metabolizes it much quicker. It's because it's much easier for your body to break down liquids as opposed to solids. General rule, obviously there's exceptions, but just stick with me, right? So it takes longer when you eat something for your body to completely metabolize it. When you drink something, it's just going right there. Kind of can think of it as like it's running right through you. It's why when kids have a lot of soda, yes, it's a lot of sugar, and they go off the wall. While if they had something like, a piece of cake, they're not going to be going off the wall the same way. They probably would eventually, but it's going to take a second longer. And believe it or not, if you're drinking something that has a load of potassium and a load of magnesium, more than what you should have in general, well, by drinking it, you can actually end up dehydrating yourself and end up in a state that is going to increase your risk of having a heart attack. Heart attacks like the one we mentioned before with that kid who drank the hydration drink, not the energy drink. We're going to get back to that point, but for now I want to turn your attention to a couple YouTubers who have dove into this issue and done maybe a bit better than I have in approaching Prime from a scientific standpoint, and that is Mr. More Plates, More Dates and Mr. Greg Doucette. Both incredibly great YouTubers who just push this notion for like health and self-improvement and yada yada yada, right? The More Plates, More Dates guy actually did a huge scientific dismantlation of Prime hydration and Prime energy. And I'm gonna throw a few clips up here right now to give you guys a little bit more context.
And the Prime stick has 871 milligrams of electrolytes.
And now it's intentional. Look, we're this much better by 1 milligram. This is not the same stratification of electrolytes. So when he lumps them together as if it is an electrolyte is an electrolyte, it's like, do you know the composition of sweat that even comes out of your fucking face when you're exercising, bro? I don't think so. There are different circumstances in which you would want one or the other. If you want a drink you can just sip throughout the day and is not actually performance-based and actually designed for athletes, in my opinion, go with Prime. Is Gatorade the most ideal formula for athletes though? No, but it's not just a potassium-ridden, artificially sweetened, sugar-tasting drink. It's interesting because this is a electrolyte formula which is 40 milligrams of sodium. We have sweat composition in descending order of priority, essentially, with sodium being at the top of the totem pole. So ultimately, what do we actually need to focus on when we are sweating most? It is going to be sodium chloride.
Now, to dive even further down this rabbit hole, Greg Doucette actually pretty much did like a reaction to the whole scenario, and he really dissects the Logan Paul sandwich. And I say the BS sandwich because what Logan Paul is doing is hiding the BS between little tidbits of information. And you see that with people all the time. We've seen it with a lot of influencers and a lot of people who are trying to sell you snake oil, right? They say all these great things that could be true and maybe are true, but then they hide in just a little bit of like BS right between the truth. Because when you mask bull with having no sugar and very low calories in the drink, is actually not a great thing for somebody who's looking for hydration if that person is an athlete. This is like that argument I mentioned earlier, so I'm not going to repeat it. At the end of the day, what you want to consume and the sugar levels of what you want to consume is really going to depend on the person. Some people are going to need more than others. Depending on what you do in your day-to-day life, you're going to want the hydration with sugar versus hydration without it. I also think this part is just funny.
Also said he's a stupid virgin. And so upcoming video from Derek. Is Derek a virgin or not? Stay tuned to find out.
And on top of that, Logan pushes this like BS narrative to promote his drink that was anecdotal. And that's at best, right? Because we don't even know if this was true. Where he just reads this review on this father who is talking about how his son drank the Prime Hydration after, you know, being like depressed and magically he felt better. Like, okay, I don't even believe this was a real review with how BS it sounds. And again, like I said before, when I talked about my anecdotal evidence, I don't think anecdotal evidence is great to support it. But in this case, the anecdotal evidence that he used actually supports my claim of it targeting a younger audience and having a younger appeal. Because yes, in the review that Logan Paul's reading, it talks about this dad's kid who's like 10. Like, dude, you're just gonna ignore all the BS that you're selling? It's insane. Back to Derek. He had this to say about Logan Paul. Number 1, sell sweetened potassium water to kids. Number 2, make misleading claims that it is better for hydration than your competitors and that those competitors taste salty. Step 3, call the haters virgins. And step 4, profit. So all in all, when it comes to the hydration drink, I'd recommend you stay away from it. I know I try to push in my life and advise to those around me that anybody who says cut X thing out of your diet completely, usually they're wrong. Like in terms of people who say, oh, I don't eat any sugar, or I don't eat any carbs. Like that's usually not good advice. But in this case, I just wouldn't trust the hydration drink at all, especially not with all the things that have been coming out around it, with the kid who had a heart attack, with the evidence around the whole potassium and sodium and all this stuff that it's crazy. And on top of that, sure, you might have a lot of electrolytes. The quality of your electrolytes is more important than the amount of electrolytes. Definitely stay away from giving either of these things to your kids, because energy drinks, period, are just not good, and this hydration drink is not good as a hydration drink either. It literally has dehydrating effects. Like, it's laughable how bad that is. Yeah, so all in all, I think it would definitely be a good idea if you just stay away from both these drinks completely. If you try to just cut out energy drinks completely, that'd be even better. You know, they're not good for you anyways. And if you're gonna drink an energy drink, you might as well stick to a brand that's been around for a long time and has been researched and can be considered safe. So yeah, that's when I would say, you know, just stick to your coffee, stick to your tea. Energy drinks, not great, but they do have their uses. And really, generally, the best advice I can give is to just stick to things that are reliable and safe. Which, speaking of reliable and safe, you should subscribe and like the video because, well, you made it to this point. It's totally free and safe and reliable that if you subscribe and like the video, I'm going to make more content. So, pretty good deal if you ask me. But that's all. Please have a great rest of your day, and thank you again for watching.